I wanted to speak on not only Charlie Kirk's assassination, but our freedoms, the state of the internet, the condition of the left and of the right. Now, full disclosure, I would have said a couple days ago, I'm a left-leaning atheist. Back during the 2016 election, I was a Bernie bro. Right now, I don't know what the fuck I am. The left fucking disgusts me at the moment. I know that. Now, for a long time, I've been kind of afraid to speak because we aren't free to do so in this country anymore. Not for the past few years. That's because the left has used this little phrase to take our freedom away. Maybe you've heard it. It goes like this. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. Or they might say, freedom of speech doesn't include hate speech, refusing to realize they are making themselves the arbiters of said speech. Well, you really think you're worthy of controlling everyone's speech? What if you're wrong? You call someone a bigot, a racist, a homophobe. What if you're wrong? A ton of people are saying after Charlie Kirk's assassination that his speech, his thoughts, his ideas hurt people. But they can't quantify this. They say, yeah, but he thought that women should X. He thought that gays this. He thought that immigrants that. His ideas actually infringed upon others. So you see, he needed to be killed. Or, I'm glad he's dead. But do you not see, you people are also infringing on other people's rights? How many people are afraid to speak on anything? Ever. How many families are terrified to speak to their daughter or their son at the dinner table? How many comedians censor themselves or lose paying gigs or partnerships because of the jokes they tell? We've been going through years of censorship in entertainment, from comics to YouTube to movies and TVs, the internet in general. You are infringing on others' rights. And it just so happens these rights, they're antithetical to the concept of any free nation. Not only that, but you are simply dead wrong. We have a right to feel however we want to feel, and we have a right to assemble and express and exchange those ideas. This isn't a crime, and it isn't an incitement to violence. Violence is physical. Regardless of whatever college book teaches you about micro this or that, you're wrong. Honestly, I've had enough. So many people have had enough. And I think if nothing else, you people need to realize people are sick of not having the freedoms we once had. Freedoms that, by the way, great people fought and died for. Do you not see that the time is coming that people will be pushed to fight for these rights again? You seem to think that these rights are trivial. Because I'll say it again. I'm a liberal atheist. And I don't give a flying fuck who shot Charlie Kirk. It could be some schizo dude's dog that told him to. It's irrelevant to my point here. After seeing so many on the far left react this way with a bloodlust, if Trump decided tomorrow, you know what? Anyone that doesn't believe in free speech will be rounded up, institutionalized, and re-educated. This is now a matter of national security. If Trump did all that, I'd have to seriously consider how to react to that. I'd be asking, well, if he only reinforces the concept of free speech, and he only rids them of believing they have a right to invoke violence against perceived thought crimes, I'm not sure I'd have an issue, nor would I be surprised. See, because freedom of speech does mean freedom of consequences. Hate speech is free speech. What the fuck happened to this country? The internet used to be a great and fun place. It was the free marketplace of ideas. The bad ideas were mocked, and the good ideas rose to the top. In that day, no one had fucking tiki torches. The racists were instead party favors on Jerry Springer to be mocked into oblivion, or on The Daily Show, or on Chappelle's Show, South Park. But they weren't forced out in the open like they are now. Doxxed, fired, unhireable, and didn't feel so cornered, so emboldened to do what they do. By refusing to engage with their ideas, to mock them, and instead trying to censor them outright, gotta make them this big fucking secret and sweep them under the rug, you give them power. You give them power by doing this. Let's also not forget that racists coordinated the Oklahoma City bombing in the 90s with a newsletter and fax machines. So they will always have a certain few amongst them and can organize anytime they fucking want, no matter how much you think you've censored them. Also, and this is going to have to include the folks on the right as well, jokes are fucking jokes. Funny is subjective. And I don't give a fuck if you find something offensive. No one deserves to lose their livelihoods or be doxxed, swatted, threatened, bricks thrown into their homes, or be actually harassed, not the left's definition of that word, or harmed in any way over a fucking joke. I don't care if it's a joke about a tragedy, 9/11, or otherwise. Jokes are jokes. Context and intent matters. Also, I believe in the right to bear arms. Many instances have proven to me that when it comes down to it, you may be the only thing between you and your family's safety and being a victim. Just because someone disagrees with how to solve school shootings doesn't mean they are for school shootings. Since we're on guns, I didn't really know Charlie Kirk that much. But it seems to me, after watching all of these cherry-picked from the left video clips, that even in death, he'd still say, yeah, even though I'm dead and gone, murdered with a gun, it's worth the risk. That isn't some gotcha. He seems to have more scruples than some of you fucks that are laughing at this situation. And I'd even go as far as to say that he'd point out that it was a bolt-action rifle that was used. One of the guns you guys aren't even going after. But understand that to kill this guy, it means that you couldn't stand up to his ideas. It's cowardice. Just because he disagreed on how to solve school shootings doesn't mean he condoned them happening, nor does it mean he caused them. Even if you could find a direct correlation between his thoughts to a shooting, it still wouldn't make his thoughts or his expression of those thoughts a crime, let alone worthy of assassination. Then that's another thing, being an atheist. I remember back in the day of old school YouTube, as atheists, we debunk things, be it 9/11 truth or bullshit, to UFO videos or whatever. And the constant was the person doing the videos had conducted a ton of fucking research, bringing everything to the table. If you want to talk about the left, one thing that the left adopted from the atheist community as well as the skeptics is misinformation is bad. Oh, we need to censor any sort of misinformation, right? But when it comes to guns, you people often spread misinformation from a place of absolute ignorance. Time and time again, you guys learn a few statistics and that's it. Mine made up. You know absolutely dick about guns. Can't tell a magazine from a clip, an M4 from an AK. And some of you do the exact type of shoddy research when it comes to, like, police-involved deaths. The left now preach having critical thinking skills. Yet some of you expect cops to be able to disarm a knife-wielding assailant as if this is some John Wick movie. Or you say, why didn't they use a taser? But you don't in turn know that tasers have certain conditions that need to be met for them to be effective. And in turn have no fucking clue how ineffective they actually are. Or you say, why not shoot them in the leg? As if you know anything about these matters. As if the police force hasn't had trial and error on these things like any other field of work. Like OSHA, for example. You know, wrench falls on some poor dude's head and kills him. Now, you know, we wear a hard hat and release a training course on fallen objects as a potential hazard. That sort of shit, right? But let's get back to the leg. There's a huge ass artery in our legs, which makes it just as dangerous. Second, cops are trained to shoot center mass, and one of the reasons is it's the easiest and biggest target that will also shield bystanders and victims from getting shot. But knowing your target and what's beyond it isn't a familiar concept to you because you haven't done any research into these matters. Yet you want to tell everyone how it goes. Well, maybe make an effort to learn, then try and have a discussion about potential solutions. Let's talk about your solutions. You say, hey, that cop just stopped this guy for a taillight out. Now the guy's dead. What the fuck? Why do you have to die for a simple traffic violation? Well, in running his plate, license, a warrant came back. Are they supposed to just let him go? Yeah, okay. So down the road when he kills a family on their way to eat, let me guess, you'll also blame the cops and the city, right? So what are your solutions? What good Samaritan are you sending to get this person to man up and face their crimes? Now, I don't know how to stop this pressure cooker that is our country. But I know that our freedom being taken away is only adding to this issue. These companies, YouTube, Google, Twitter, Facebook, etc. The government should have stepped in long ago to have their terms of service mirror freedom of speech. Because they have a monopoly on what is now the town square. And everybody should have the right to express themselves without the fear of reprisals. And I even go as far as saying I think, while disgusting and hypocritical to me, I believe you people have a right to say that Charlie Kirk's expression is exciting violence and then turn around and openly advocate for assassinations week after week. That is your free speech as well. But the second you equate the two, Charlie inciting violence and your calls to violence, your delusion is broken. And you have to admit you are just as guilty as the boogeyman you've invented. Now in closing, I want to say we shouldn't be afraid to say how we feel or express ourselves. And to Charlie Kirk's family, you're in my thoughts, and I'm sorry, this shouldn't have happened.